friends and neighbors, what do you say? It is Tuesday, September 10. So good to see you today. Welcome to the Bill Press Show, coming to you live and bringing you the news of the day. We're here in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, keeping our eye on all the big events here in our nation's capital. It's a very busy, busy place the last couple of days around the country and around the globe. We'll not only tell you what's going on, but we'll give you a chance to tell us what you think about it. You can do so by phone at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter. We monitor Twitter all the time at BP Show, and same thing on Facebook, facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, Syria has been turned upside down since yesterday. Yesterday, we were wondering how soon we could strike Syria and whether Congress would say yes or no. And Assad was denying he had chemical weapons. Today, Russia and Syria admit that they've got chemical weapons, and now the only question is, how soon can we get them out of Syria in order to avoid a U.S. bombing attack? President Obama, meanwhile, is getting ready for his address to the nation tonight, but we're not sure whether he's still going to ask for a bombing strike or not. In other news, George Zimmerman, held, the guy who murdered Trayvon Martin, held by police yesterday after his wife placed a 911 call saying Zimmerman was threatening her and her father, allegedly with a gun. I told you that guy was a good-for-nothing bum and a troublemaker, and now we know it for a fact. That and a whole lot more we're going to talk about this morning, so stay with us. Give us your calls. We'll see you right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat?
around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Now Syria admits they do have chemical weapons. And they're trying to make a deal to get rid of them so we don't bomb them. Boy, everything's changed overnight. What do you say? Hello, everybody. Great to see you today on this Tuesday, September 10. I'm Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show, and we are coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the most powerful city on the planet, not just because we're here. Because the President of the United States Congress, the entire federal government, and the Pentagon here, and we've got our eye on what's going on both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. This end, Capitol Hill, with the United States Capitol, lots going on yesterday as Congress, the House and the Senate, came back and jumped right into the big debate over Syria, and lots going on at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, where I was yesterday for the White House briefing with Press Secretary Jay Carney and the Deputy Director of National Security, Tony Blinken. Hillary Clinton was also at the White House yesterday. It was a busy day. And the President, of course, spending a lot of time on the phone, twisting arms on Congress to get a vote that he wants to authorize a military strike against Syria, and we think he still wants that today, although, again, everything has changed. We'll bring you up to date on the latest in Syria and all the other news of the day. Not only that, the best part of the show is we'll give you a chance to let us know what it all means to you and to your family. You can do so, of course, by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. You can talk to us on Twitter and send your comments on Twitter at any time. At BP Show, that's our Twitter handle, at BP Show. And on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. And, of course, we're coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station. This is your progressive morning show on talk radio all across the country. Glad to be there with you. As an extra bonus, you can watch us on TV, on Free Speech TV. If you've got a satellite dish, you can get us on Dish Network or Direct TV. And if you want, you can also stream us on your computer at TawkrTV. You get that by going to youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR TV, all one word, TawkrTV. So however you joined us this morning, thanks for being there. Welcome to the team, also Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning. What do you say, guys?
Hey. Good morning.
Big night last night. I mean, God, we had Crossfire coming back. We had NFL football coming back. You know,
there was entirely too much TV all at once. Had U.S. Open as well.
We had the U.S. Open. I watched part of that as well.
Crushing game.
The
last
Nationals
night.
just crushed it last night. If they played like that all season, that'd be great. I mean, I think
they had 5 innings in a row.
Arsenio Hall came back last night.
Hall came back.
Couldn't keep up with it. Yeah. Alicia Cruz is here too. She's got the phones covered, waiting to hear from you. And Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, keeping us looking good on... no, he's not looking so good.
He's there.
Okay.
He's there, even though we don't have a camera shot of Cyprian.
Keeping us looking good on Talker TV and on Free Speech TV. There. Hey, so to talk about there's a lot of build-up to the Redskins game last night. A lot of build-up to RG3.
That's it. The return. Robert Griffin III.
Yeah. Okay.
Robert
it's
Griffin
not
III.
It's RG.
There's RFK.
I know this. RG3. Yeah. At any rate, and didn't quite make it last night, huh?
No, it didn't look so good.
The Eagles ended up winning 33-27. They were ahead. Had a much larger lead. It was the fourth quarter. RG3 finally came alive, but not quite enough. Here in the third quarter is this Eagles play by LaShawn McCoy.
Off the great first half, LaShawn McCoy. What a move by McCoy. Look at McCoy. What a run. Eagle touchdown. Oh.
That'll be on one of the top plays of the week shows.
All right. So what do we think here, guys? One game.
It's one game.
Here's the thing.
Right.
One game. Come on.
You're right. It's one game.
But
And this was his first.
But if they had won, everybody would say the Redskins all the way to the Super Bowl.
You're right about that. You're 100% right about that. Look, this was his first game back. He was nursing an injury the whole time he was out.
And he's still not 110%. I was watching the news last night, Sports Report. They showed the knee brace that he is wearing. It is this titanium monstrosity.
Really?
It only weighs 19 ounces, which is more than a pound by my math. So, but it's like...
But that he...
It's like it keeps his knee locked in position.
He's wearing it. He wears it while he's
playing. Yeah.
I mean, he has to get out there and take some snaps. I mean, he's got to get out there and play football at some point. But they have a very good backup quarterback system. They could have maybe said, okay, you played the first quarter. Let's try Kirk Cousins for the second quarter because the first quarter was a disaster. And then maybe we switch back and, we go a little back and forth.
Then,
I almost thought I was watching the Giants game last night.
And then Tim Tebow,
We can always bring in Tebow.
Yeah.
What it really comes down to?
Waiting in the wings.
What it really comes down
praying,
to, and
we'll see in the wings.
We'll see how the rest of the season plays out.
Jesus,
the Eagles had a very good game last night, and the Redskins had a very bad game. And sometimes people have good days, and sometimes people have bad days.
I tell you, sometimes. But we here on the Bill Press Show always have a good day. We always have a great day. We got one today for you too. Keith Ellison, Congressman from Minnesota, will be joining us here in studio. David Jackson covers the White House for USA Today. He'll be along with us as well. And then two of our favorites, Igor Volsky from Think Progress and Arthur Delaney from Huffington Post, both in studio with us. And Syria, oh my, total different picture today from yesterday. But first...
This is the
What do you got, Dan?
Press.
Well, you just mentioned Tim Tebow. He actually does have a job offer.
No.
Probably not one he'll take, but the Los Angeles Arena Football League team, which is owned by the rock band Kiss, has offered the unemployed quarterback a contract. The LA Kiss want Tebow on board for 3 years as their QB. No word if he has any interest in the indoor football league.
He also got an offer from a porn maker in L.A. too.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
He would be
Larry
smart to
Flint would
entertain
like to
that offer.
That's
the Arena Football League.
But the only offer he's really going to get.
Ooh, yeah.
Rafael Nadal won his first U.S. Open title in 2010 and his second last night. The Spaniard defeating Novak Djokovic in 4 sets, though after tripping on his own feet in the third set, some thought he may not be able to battle back, but he did. Even fired an ace serve for his 13th career Grand Slam championship. This is one of Nadal's best seasons in recent years. Battled back from an injury and has won 10 titles since, including, most recently, the French Open.
It was phenomenal tennis last night.
It was great to watch.
One volley, 54 volleys.
Yeah, it was impressive. And a big change is coming to Instagram. It should be a shock to no one that the popular photo sharing app is now adding advertisements. They'll be displayed in search results, but not in the user's main feed. It's similar to what Facebook has done over the past year, and it should be relatively easy to scroll over the ads if you're not interested, but they will be there.
Yeah, I mean, there are ads everywhere online. Exactly. So. Yes, indeed. I've got to tell you, overnight, we spent so much time in Syria yesterday, and overnight, we have an entirely different ballgame. It's just unbelievable how fast it happened. I was in the middle of it down at the White House yesterday when this news broke about this Russian proposal, so-called. They're calling it the Russian proposal. It was not really a Russian proposal, but you know where we were yesterday. The question was could President Obama get the votes out of Congress? And how should Congress vote, right? Up or down? And we debated that whole issue. And meanwhile, Charlie Rose interviews President Assad, and Assad and Russia are still claiming that they don't have any chemical weapons. They don't have chemical weapons. What do you mean chemical weapons? What chemical weapons? I don't know anything about that. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, then today, both Russia and Syria admit that Syria's got chemical weapons. And the question today is, okay, if we promise to give you all of our chemical weapons in a week, will you promise not to bomb us? I mean, basically, that's what it amounts to. So should we take this seriously or not? Well, you got to take it seriously. But at the same time, it changes everything. I mean, how can the president asked Congress to vote, and how can Congress or how will Congress ever debate this and vote on it when they don't know what's going to happen to this proposal to get rid of the weapons? It's you know what it is today right now? It's a mess. 866-55-PRESS. You tell us whether we ought to take this seriously. So let's go back just a step here to remind ourselves how it all came down yesterday. And again, being right in the briefing room yesterday when we were being briefed by Jay Carney and by Tony Blinken, who's the Deputy National Security Director, it was just amazing to watch all of this unfold. So it started with an offhand, almost flip remark. John Kerry is giving a news conference in London with the deputy foreign minister there, or foreign minister, whoever. And some reporter just said, is there any way Syria could avoid getting the hell bombed out of it? And Kerry responds,
he could turn over every single bit of his chemical weapons to the international community in the next week. Turn it over, all of it, without delay, and allow a full and total accounting for that. But he isn't about to do it, and it can't be done, obviously.
So it was almost a smart-ass remark, right? But what?
The thing at the end there, I go,
obviously, it can't be done.
Yeah.
Meaning they don't even admit they don't. Meaning they don't admit they have them. A week is not enough time, and they're in the middle of a civil war, and he'll never do it. And we've been asking him to give them up for years. Well, they wouldn't even sign the damn chemical weapons convention, right? So that's what Kerry meant. I mean, that's just like impossible. Well, the Russian foreign minister 3 hours later holds a news conference and says, we heard what John Kerry said. We think this is a great idea. We will talk to Damascus about it and take the lead. And then Damascus, and suddenly everybody's going, whoa. And then Damascus finally says, yeah, we think we could entertain that, and we'd be open to that. And then the Secretary General of the United Nations comes in and says, hey, we'll step up to the plate here, and we'll take control over these nuclear weapons, these chemical weapons, and we'll put them in some safe place, and then we'll oversee them until they can be destroyed. And by late afternoon, when President Obama is giving, it happened so fast, now is giving interviews to all the different networks, he tells Diane Sawyer, yeah, you know what? I think this might be the right thing.
I consider this a modestly positive development. John Kerry is going to talk to his counterparts, and we're going to run this to ground.
Yeah. Tony Blinken told us in the briefing room, we just heard about this, but we're going to look at it.
We've seen the reports. We want to take a hard look at the proposal. We'll obviously discuss the idea with the Russians. And of course, we would welcome a decision and action by Syria to give up its chemical weapons. The whole point of what we're doing is to stop Syria from using these weapons again.
So, I don't know what it means to you. Do you think, what should we do about this now? 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Now, a couple of things this means, right? First of all, this means that there could be a diplomatic solution to this after all, number one. Number two, it means that Congress is not going to act until this whole thing plays out. There's no way. I mean, if there's one thing Congress likes to do, it's to kick the can down the road. You give them any excuse for delaying, and now, in fact, Harry Reid has already put off the vote scheduled for tomorrow until God knows when. So the Congress is not going to act until this whole thing plays out. The third thing it means is, and we can't forget this, is they've got the damn weapons. They now admit that they have chemical weapons. And I think the fourth thing is, this would not have happened. You got to admit this. This would never have happened if the United States had not threatened to bomb them. This is really their way out of getting the hell bombed out of them. So all the threats about a military strike, I think, did result in something, and it might result in no military strike at all, but we get rid of the chemical weapons. And if that's the way it happens, as sloppy as it is, all's well that ends well, right? We all like a happy ending. But who would have thunk it yesterday? Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. It's Tuesday morning on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
What do you say? 25 minutes after the hour, Tuesday morning, The Bill Press Show. Great to see you. We're talking about the really stunning new developments in the whole debate over Syria, where yesterday we were talking about how soon we would bomb, and today we're talking about how soon we can get the chemical weapons out of Syria and into some safe place. And can we really do this in the middle of a civil war?
Yeah, it seems stunning to everybody, including the administration.
And do you trust the Russians and do you trust the Syrians?
And especially, you could chime in on this on Twitter, at BP Show. Robbie Bright says, sounds like Assad was visited by 3 ghosts from his future, Osama bin Laden, Gaddafi, and the Somali pirates. They advised him, do not mess around with Barack Obama.
Yeah, good point. You know, I mean, no matter what they say, they would not be doing this if they weren't afraid of what might happen. So to that extent, all the bluster was and threats were worth it. Joey is out in Chicago. Hey, Joey, what do you say? Good morning.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. One day they don't have chemical weapons. The next day they do. What, are they going to give us Eric Snowden now too? Are they going to throw him into the deal to make it sweeter? I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. All this does is waste time and lets him hide more stuff. I wouldn't believe this or pick him. I can't believe they're going to fall for this. I understand Obama's in a tough spot and he got himself in a tough spot. But this is just BS, Bill. They're just stalling. And how can you verify how much they have? If they had nothing, they could tell you anything. I don't trust them, Bill. That's the way I feel, buddy.
I know. Listen, those are all good questions. I don't trust the bastards either. But you got to admit that the Congress is going to say they've already started, right? Congress says, well, we got to see how this plays out before we give you authority to bomb them, right? And so this could, and by the way, a week? Are you kidding? This could take months. Jessica is up in Caribou, Maine, watching on Free Speech TV. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Bill. Guess what?
Yes.
My husband and I saw this coming 2 weeks ago.
Really? How so?
In fact, I even posted it to your Facebook page.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, we just figured that would, be, if they claimed that that's what they were going to do, that would be the simplest way out for everyone concerned to remain, and...
if it worked, it would be great, but do you trust him?
No, but we said that, this would be the way to stop everything in its tracks completely, because then what happens if they say, oh, we turned it all over, but there's still chemical weapons out there, then they can, and there's an attack of some kind, and they say the rebels did it, then they can go back in full bore after them.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a real question about it. How many they have, and where they are, and can we possibly get them all, and can we trust them?
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory? Did you take a chance?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Did you commit to change the world?
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go. It is 33 minutes after the hour. What do you say? It is the full court press here, or otherwise known as The Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV and on TawkrTV. That's youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV. And we're brought to you today thanks to the Communication Workers of America, good men and women of the Communication Workers, the Union for the Information Age under President Larry Cohen. You can find out a lot more about all the good work that they do at their website, cwa-union.org. And Syria is certainly dominating things to the extent that a lot of other important issues are getting pushed aside, out of the spotlight, and may not get any attention at all from Congress. Arthur Delaney at the Huffington Post is trying to make sure that doesn't happen. We turn to Arthur all the time when we want bad news about the economy. That seems to be your beat. The Delaney Downer is part of the HuffPost Tell every day. Good morning, Arthur. How are you?
I'm great.
You look awfully cheery for bringing us such bad news all the time.
The Redskins didn't do too well.
Are you happy to bring us bad news?
I love bringing you bad news. I love
Did
being
you stay up and watch the game?
Harbinger, of course.
I couldn't stay. I couldn't stay up and watch it all the way.
I'm playing injured, exhausted.
You are playing injured, yeah.
And it's no problem for
Cyprian, can we get a shot of this the serious injury?
Hold your hand up.
Yeah,
there it is.
There it is. Can we get the mic out of the way?
Don't hit his cast with the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Are you right-handed?
Yes, of course.
Oh, man.
Of course.
That's trouble.
All right. So just to get that out of the way, are you bummed now as a Redskins fan for the rest of the season, or is this just like kind of one game?
It was a great fourth quarter. There were a lot of promising things happened. They almost came back. So I'm not as bummed as I was during the first three quarters.
Got it.
During those first, I was just despondent.
All right.
It wasn't even fun to watch.
They really did look horrible for the first three quarters. But you're right.
Yeah.
This was Robert Griffin's first game of the season. He had no preseason snaps.
So keep hope alive. Keep hope
There you
alive.
go.
Speaking of hope alive, it is true that all the important things related to the economy or to jobs, whatever, Congress is just sort of put on the back burner for now, right, with Syria up front?
It seems that way to me. It's hard to say, exactly what they'd be doing if Syria weren't happening right now.
Maybe nothing, right? But
possibly they'd still be quiet about this stuff, which is not unheard of. But there will be a vote in the House in probably next week on food stamps and cutting food stamps. And this is a bill that hasn't had any hearings in this Congress. And probably most members of the House don't know anything about it, except the few who are focused on poverty or are members of the House Agriculture Committee. So they just happen to know how this works.
And you're talking about a handful, really. So bring us up to date for our listeners and our viewers on the food stamp issue. It is always, not always, but for the last 30 or 40 years, right? It's been part of the Ag Bill, right?
Right.
So this year, the House of Representatives passed, because of Republican Tea Party opposition, they took food stamps out of the Ag Bill altogether.
You heard about it less than things like the fiscal cliff, but it was one of the most epic fiascos under John Boehner's leadership as the Speaker. And they had a vote on this farm bill that they thought was going to pass. It cobbled together food stamps and agriculture subsidies.
As we've done for the last 40 years.
Right.
Right.
And it failed because, on the House floor, Eric Cantor made it much harsher than it had been, and they lost all these Democratic votes. So they then took this Heritage Foundation strategy of splitting the two up, and they passed a farm-only farm bill.
Farm subsidies.
Yeah, and
up the gazoo, right? But no food stamps.
Really, yeah. Hard to justify subsidies for major agribusinesses, and then food stamps is just kind of in limbo, which is sort of okay because there is no food stamp cliff. People don't have to be too alarmed necessarily about their nutrition assistance just sort of stopping suddenly because of congressional inaction. But they're going to come back with this bill to cut food stamps by about 5%. It would be several million people being kicked from the rolls.
How many people are on food stamps today?
47 million.
Which is more than at any time in our history?
Right. It's an historic
Why is that?
level. Well, it's 15% of the country. It's 15% of the country that lives below the poverty line. It really tracks the economy very closely, food stamp enrollment. But there's another thing to this, and people don't know it. One reason could be because we're preoccupied with something else, but regardless of what they do on this bill, there's another cut to food stamps coming because of the expiration of the something from the 2009 stimulus bill. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
So every household is going to see their benefits drop by like $30 in November. And I think people are probably just sort of unaware that this is going to happen. And right now would be an ideal time to discuss it, but we're sort of bumbling through this Syria situation. And that's probably a legitimate preoccupation. But it's certainly something that's taking attention away from food stamps in the economy.
Well, particularly from, I would have to say, a Congress that has a hard time walking and chewing gum at the same time, right? They seem to only focus on one thing and forget everything else. And then even when they do focus on some things, they don't get anything done. I mean, it is my column in The Hill this morning, I call it the most divisive and the most do-nothing Congress in history, certainly in our lifetime. I mean, what have they done about climate change? Nothing. Immigration reform, so far, nothing. Gun safety, nothing. Food stamps, nothing. Right. Even a budget, nothing. Paying their bills, the debt ceiling. I mean, they can't even agree to pay their own bills. I mean, it's just pathetic.
Well, John Boehner says, judge us not by the bills we pass, but the laws we repeal. But what's funny about this, you got to pass a law to repeal one.
Well, also, they haven't repealed any laws.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. They voted 44 times to repeal Obamacare, but they haven't done it. Right. So it's insane. So when does this whole food stamp thing come to a head?
Well, this automatic food stamp cut, there's no discussion about averting it. So everyone's going to see a reduction in their benefits in November. The food stamp bill that will
and what does that mean for the average family? I mean, are we talking serious?
Family of four, $36 fewer per month.
A month. Yeah.
Right. And that actually doesn't sound like a ton of money when you're getting several hundred, but I've talked to a lot of people on food stamps, and none of them have a surplus. They use that money up before the month is over.
And what is a family of four getting on food stamps if they get the full benefit?
Well, the average per person benefit is $133
per person.
If you're working, you'll get a little less. But you
I want to focus on that. So $133, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting $36 cut out of that?
No, you're getting 36 out of the total, so 133 times 4, and then minus 36.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
So it'll be less food for people.
Yeah.
But the Bill Press show right now is the only place talking about that. And then, so that they're going to then debate this legislation that won't reduce your benefits, but will kick several million people off the rolls if it were to pass.
Right. All right. Now, meanwhile. And again, we're talking with Arthur Delaney from Huffington Post. HuffingtonPost.com is the website to follow Arthur and the work of all of his colleagues there at HuffPost. Meanwhile, some states, right, are ratcheting things up even more on the food stamp program. You've written about what's happening out in Kansas.
Right. And this is a great example of why people might want to pay attention. So one thing that Republicans in Congress, led by Eric Cantor, want to do is to take away states' ability to waive the work requirements that already exist in the food stamp program. And those say that if you're an able-bodied adult and you don't have children, you can't have benefits unless you work 20 hours a week or you volunteer or you're in a training program.
Yeah, okay.
And so states are saying, oh, this is a great idea. And Sam Brownback in Kansas and now John Kasich in Ohio are going ahead and saying, well, we're going to drop this waiver, and it's going to affect tens of thousands of people in those states. And the idea came from Congress, so they're paying attention. The network of conservative lawmaking is alive to this whole idea.
So what would that mean? That you would not have to work 20 hours, or you'd have to work more?
It means you got to work or be in training or no food stamps for you. And the logic of this in a time when unemployment is really high is harder to understand. That's why states have this waiver. Unemployment's real high. You can't force someone to work when there are no jobs, is the logic of that policy.
Yeah.
So they're going to say, never mind. You got to figure out something to do.
So these people are out there, one presumes, and I believe, they want a job. They're out of their job. They're looking for work. Sometimes it takes months, if not years, right, to find another job. But they're getting penalized because they can't get a job and not being able to apply for food stamps.
And this is happening while people are not really looking.
You are. You're on top of it.
We're looking.
Who else is? You may have a comment or question about this whole program. Arthur Delaney with us from Huffington Post. Tell us what's happening in your state and your family. 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
All right, we are talking food stamps and other economic issues which are sort of getting forgotten about in all the talk about Syria. With us in studio, Arthur Delaney, who is a reporter for the Huffington Post and co-author of HuffPost Live. How do people sign up for that?
Hill.
HuffPost Hill,
which is fantastic. I can't say enough nice things.
HuffPost Live is great, too. HuffPost Hill, you get it every day. I get it, read it every day. How do you sign up for it?
HuffingtonPost.com/politics, and it says HuffPost Hill up there. Click on that. I'm on HuffPost Live, too.
I know you are. I see you on HuffPost Live. Yeah, right.
And it's okay. But HuffPost Hill. I'm better in the Delaney Downer domain, which is HuffPost Hill.
That is your contribution to HuffPost Hill, the Delaney Downer. And we're talking,
there's his music.
Yeah. And we're talking about the Delaney Downer in Kansas, but out in Oregon, they're also doing some weird stuff on food stamps.
There's some
Portland, Oregon, of all places. I love Portland, and Oregon's a very progressive state. What the hell's going on?
Well, this is a weird story. There's a leafletting bandit out there who's distributing these flyers in neighborhoods that say there are 27 people on food stamps in this neighborhood, and they vote.
No.
Yeah, and I'm gonna reveal all their names publicly.
And does he? Or she?
No, it's not public information.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But and it says, we're going to let the taxpayers decide who deserves help buying food. So it's this very ominous and creepy threat. It could well be somebody who's standing in the grocery store and sort of spying on who's using an EBT card, or it's a 14-year-old who read The Fountainhead and went on the Tea Party website and got a fake Benjamin Franklin quote. But the reason it's worth talking about is that this is the kind of thing really happening everywhere. It's a mindset of resentment
of the poor, huh?
Right, of the person in front of you in line at the store, whose circumstances you don't know, but you see them with an EBT card. And these kinds of stories percolate everywhere, and they make it into the national discussion, and you hear Republicans tell them on the House and Senate floor.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's I think it's worth keeping an ear to the ground because these stories make their way to the national discussion. When we're having it, of course, Syria,
right,
sort of keeping the focus off it. But this is the mindset that informs the Republican push to reduce spending on food stamps.
Let's say hello to Beverly out in St. David, Illinois. Hi, Beverly. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Bill. Glad to hear that you're back. Thank God.
Well, here we are. Yeah, what's up? What do you think?
And thanks for the book you sent me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, I'm on food stamps. I get $86 a month. If they cut my food stamps by $30, that leaves me with $50.
I think for an individual getting $86, it won't be so much as $30. It'll be a much smaller reduction.
Well, that's great to hear, but have you seen the price of groceries lately?
I know.
Yeah.
It's when that's your food budget, that can be devastating.
God, I'm living in a state where right now we have a Democratic governor, but the Republican that's running in 2014 is a Tea Partier such as Brownback, and I just can't wait to see what he's going to do to elderly people.
Well, you can see. I mean, seriously, $86 a month, Beverly. I don't know how you can make it on $86 a month with groceries, right? And you cut that even by $10 or $15. That's got to hurt, Arthur, this is a very thing. Beverly, thank you for the call, and thanks for staying with us. But she's typical of the person out there that these people don't care about, and they want to make life worse for them.
Well, the program, the food stamps has gotten so big and cost the government so much money, not because people are just living large and eating crab legs
right,
and buying porterhouse steaks. It's because it's a lot of people who are poor, and that's the reason they qualify. It's not because of fraud or
and the economy is tough, and jobs are scarce, and wages have not gone up, and across the board.
It's a mirror of what's going on in the economy.
Well, while everybody else is talking to Syria, Arthur, you stay on this stuff because this is important. This impacts real people across this country. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for being here. And when nobody else will talk about it, we'll talk about it.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Hey friends, just a little reminder that our third hour will not be carried on Free Speech TV, but you can continue to stream us live, don't forget, on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. In the third hour together this morning, we'll be talking to David Jackson down at the White House, covers the White House for USA Today, and for Juana from Politico about the big debate on Congress, what happens now on Syria.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. In the next hour, Igor Volsky from Think Progress is going to be along, and we'll also be talking with Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota. Peter.
Yeah, really quick story, because we hear these stories come out of the science world every now and then that are, wasting people's time and dumb studies. This is one that I can actually get behind. Scientists have discovered a substance found in human skin that they can recreate and turn into essentially an invisibility cloak for mosquitoes. That it turns off mosquitoes' sense of smell, and it will mask you from mosquitoes. Mosquitoes won't be able to bite you. They won't be able to find you to sting you and suck your blood.
Well, what do you mean? You have to take it off your skin?
No. In science, they create this substance that's naturally found and make it more prevalent that you put it on, and they leave you alone.
Could you spray it on?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And then you're like invisible?
And you're invisible to mosquitoes. They can't even see you.
Mr. Cellophane. Remember that song?
It. There
Mr.
it is.
Cellophane. I love it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Good morning, friends and neighbors. What do you say? It is Tuesday, September 10. So good to see you today. Welcome to the Bill Press Show, coming to you live and bringing you the news of the day. We're here in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, keeping our eye on all the big events here in our nation's capital. Is a very busy, busy place the last couple of days around the country and around the globe. We'll not only tell you what's going on, but we'll give you a chance to tell us what you think about it. You can do so by phone at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter. We monitor Twitter all the time at BP Show, and same thing on Facebook, facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, Syria has been turned upside down since yesterday. Yesterday, we were wondering how soon we could strike Syria and whether Congress would say yes or no. And Assad was denying he had chemical weapons. Today, Russia and Syria admit that they've got chemical weapons. And now the only question is, how soon can we get them out of Syria in order to avoid a U.S. bombing attack? President Obama, meanwhile, is getting ready for his address to the nation tonight, but we're not sure whether he's still going to ask for a bombing strike or not. In other news, George Zimmerman held, the guy who murdered Trayvon Martin, held by police yesterday after his wife placed a 911 call saying Zimmerman was threatening her and her father, allegedly with a gun. I told you that guy was a good-for-nothing bum and a troublemaker, and now we know it for a fact. That and a whole lot more we're going to talk about this morning, so stay with us. Give us your calls. We'll see you right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yesterday, Syria said, we don't have any chemical weapons. And then later in the day, they said, if we give you all of our chemical weapons, will you promise not to bomb us? What the hell's going on? Hey, hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Bill Press Show. That's me, Bill Press. We're coming to you on this Tuesday, September 10, on your local progressive talk radio station. We're coming to you live on Free Speech TV. You can watch us on DirecTV or Dish Network. And if you want to stream us online, you can do so by just going to youtube.com/TawkrTV, TawkrTV. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. We got lots and lots to talk about. Syria is not the only issue, but it certainly is dominating things, especially since everything has taken a totally different direction since we talked about it yesterday morning. We want to hear from you what it all means to you, what you think about this latest twist. By phone, 866-55-PRESS, on Twitter, @BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the kind of stuff that makes people like Igor Volsky earn his stripes at Think Progress, because he can't take 5 minutes off. The news is changing so fast. But he did take a few minutes off to come in and join us this morning. Managing editor of Think Progress. Hello, Igor. How are you?
Good morning. And it's amazing. Everything good. I guess everything's better now for the world, I would argue, now that there seems to be a diplomatic solution. There doesn't have to be... Could be. There doesn't have to be missile attacks and escalation. So we'll see what happens by noon. But so far, it seems to be we're a different new page in the story.
We are indeed. You, of course, you're a member of our team, and you join the other members of our team, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Hey.
Good morning. Guys, with Alicia Cruz on the phones and Cyprian Bolding, as always, on the video cam. I do want to let you know, Igor, Carol and I had dinner Friday night with a couple of good friends here on the Hill, and they are huge fans of the show, but especially huge fans of Igor Volsky.
Oh, my goodness.
They tune in only to see Igor.
They're the two. Okay. Well, good. Right. Good. Well, my fans, I should say.
Your fan club, it's growing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Do you have like mugs or T-shirts you can send to your fans?
In development,
yeah,
I don't want to.
Don't build them up too much here.
Yeah, when I'm ready,
don't build them up too much.
I'll reveal. Yeah.
We like having Igor part of the family. We don't want him going out and starting his own brand somewhere else. Okay,
but I tell you,
with my mugs.
Look, you're fine. Okay? You're okay. You're okay.
That's right. No, that's a good way to go about it. Yeah.
Now listen, we all know last night was such a huge night. There was a fundraiser here in town for the new Clinton Foundation with Hillary and Chelsea and Bill there. There was the Redskins game last night.
That's football, for those of you who don't know.
Right.
Like me.
They lost to the Eagles. There was...
helping people out.
That's good, thank you.
Yeah.
Arsenio Hall came back last night. He's been gone, how long? 19 years or something like that?
Leave it to the first black late-night host to take 19 years off work.
That laugh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And come back here and expect my job to still be waiting for me.
Did the audience do that? Did they do the whoop whoop and the doing the arm thing? I didn't catch it. I have to see that. That was sort of their trademark move.
That was their trademark, but he'll do fine.
What is he on WB?
I think so. I saw ads for it.
It's a CW.
CW.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I still have a hard time figuring out why he gets his show back after all these years. I guess nostalgia, if nothing else. But I'm sure he'll do fine.
He's good.
I'm sure he'll do fine. I mean, I guess he's good. He hasn't done anything.
He's a good personality. He can get. He gets good guests, and he'll have fun. And then last night was also the return of Crossfire.
Tonight on Crossfire. On the left, Stephanie Cutter. On the right, Newt Gingrich. In the Crossfire.
Stephanie, I've heard of leading from behind. But did you ever think you'd see Putin bailing out President Obama?
Well, Newt, I don't know where you've been over the past 2 years, but we couldn't even get Putin to acknowledge that Syria was a risk.
There it was.
He's running for president.
He
was.
Right. Right. At any rate, I must admit, it was very nostalgic for me to watch the old. It wasn't exactly the old set, but it was. Here's what I think was really good about it. Not that last night was. They were real comfortable last night. That they'll grow into it. But what I liked is that they went back to the original Crossfire, the one that I did, Michael Kinsley did, Pat Buchanan, Bob Novak, where it was 4 people, 2 guests, 2 hosts, a very simple set, and 1 topic.
Yeah.
As opposed to that gong show that they did later on, turned Crossfire into, which was a disaster at George Washington University. So with that original, that format,
it was very close. I watched both. What I did last night, I had more time to sleep in now that I'm on at 7, and so I took advantage of watching the new Crossfire and then going back and watching a Crossfire with you, Bill, from December 30th, 1995. And I have to say, the
I remember
formats.
That show. That's
do
a
you?
pretty
Yeah,
good show.
Good show. Yeah, yeah. The formats are very similar. December 30th.
I was there.
You were there.
Well,
you and John
no
Sununu.
way. It had to have been on tape.
Must
have been. Probably was taped. Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Well, and so
Tell me how good it was.
Man, remarkable.
All right. Here's all I want to know.
I'm writing a post about it this morning.
Here's all I want to
progress.
know. Which was the better show?
Well, look, I have always. Let me say this.
You're hesitating. Don't hedge on that. Of all the questions to hedge on.
I'm just going to explain.
No. Let me ask that question.
Yeah. Let's reset this.
All right. Now, you saw the last night show, and then you saw the original show.
The one with Bill Press on it.
Which was the better show?
Your show, Bill.
Yeah,
Here's why. Here's why. I enjoy the good, deep research debate and both sides going at it.
Yeah.
What I thought the new show was missing is I was confused why they started with 2 guests who were senators, because you're never going to get a good, robust, honest debate with senators because, I mean, they have other considerations. They're politicians, and so you're just not going to have that kind of rich back and forth. I think you need advocates. I would have liked to have seen maybe an anti-war advocate on one side and another person who maybe agrees with the administration, but then you didn't really need that person there because Stephanie was there. So you just needed a wider array of opinions so that these people would have, in my opinion, just a richer back and forth. It'd be a more dynamic show.
Well, I'm glad it's back. I'm glad Crossfire's back, and I wish them all well. S.E. Cupp and Van Jones and Newt Gingrich and Stephanie Cutter. Go for it, and here's to another 19 years of Crossfire.
Absolutely.
Let's get into, all right, so we talked about this right at the very top of the show. Suddenly, Igor and friends, we have a totally different picture on Syria.
It's a different story.
I was at the White House yesterday at the briefing when this whole thing started to unravel. So we started the day with the big build-up, the full court press, President coming up to the Hill, President going to talk to the American people, President making phone calls, people down at the members of Congress down at the White House, Congress coming back, they're going to debate this and vote for it. The question is, will they get the votes to authorize a military strike? Then suddenly, in the middle of the day, John Kerry is asked a question in London. Is there any way that Syria could avoid getting the hell bombed out of it? And almost in a smart-ass offhand remark, here's John Kerry.
He could turn over every single bit of his chemical weapons to the international community in the next week. Turn it over, all of it, without delay, and allow a full and total accounting for that. But he isn't about to do it, and it can't be done, obviously.
Obviously.
Within hours, this offhand remark, Russia says, hey, we heard what Kerry said. That sounds like a good idea. We'll talk to Damascus. Damascus says, hey, we're open to this. The UN says, hey, we'll come in and take over the weapons and monitor them and make sure that we got them all and that nobody has access to them. And then suddenly the Senate and the House are saying, hey, why should we vote on this? And then the president says, That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. What happened, Igor?
It's remarkable to me. That sequence of events is stunning. After Kerry made those offhand remarks that the White House later said were rhetorical.
Yeah, I was there when they were dismissing it.
Yeah, when they were dismissing it, the Russian foreign minister called Kerry. They talked about it, and Kerry gave an assurance that this is a plan worth looking into. And then he announced it. The Russian foreign minister, Latvov or something, his name, announced it.
Vladimir.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, announced it at a hastily arranged press conference, pressured Syria to, as you say, he had just before with Charlie Rose said he would neither confirm nor deny the existence of his chemical weapons. Now he says this is something we could consider. And now the latest is that France is going to introduce a resolution in the Security Council to get this show on the road and get everything under an international framework. It's remarkable, and it is just a reminder to me, Putin, for all of my many disagreements with him on almost every issue, is a keen politician. And the fact that he knew that this was the moment to take advantage of and to kind of give this exit ramp to the president, to the Americans, to me speaks a lot to his political skill. There's a lot to be said there that this was arranged because of an opening that they saw.
All right. So what this all means, again, the change of direction in this whole issue is just it really is stunning. I've never seen anything like it.
Gives you whiplash.
But first of all, yeah, it does. It does. One thing we shouldn't forget about it by even talking about this, Syria now admits that they have chemical weapons.
For the first time, they're now saying that they have chemical weapons.
Charlie Rose plays his interview with Assad where he still denies he's got them. By the end of the day, they admit they've got them, and they're willing to, well, at least they're willing to talk about turning them over, right? Number one. Number two, you've got to admit, this would not have happened if there were not the threat that they would get bombed.
Well,
right?
That was the big argument last night on Crossfire. And I think that there's an argument to be made for that. Absolutely. Certainly, Russia had filibustered every other UN resolution, didn't even want a soft condemnation. But if you look at where this resolution was going in Congress, it was going down. If you look at what John Kerry said, that it was going to be an unbelievably small strike, it's hard to argue, in a sense, that Russians really thought that the strike was a foregone conclusion. I think the odds were really leaning against it.
I could argue that with you. I don't think this would have happened if I think the only reason they're doing this is because they're afraid of a bombing strike and what damage people
that played into it. I agree that played into it. Yes.
All right, now, then the other thing it seems to me that the whole thing means is we've got to recognize, no matter whether it's messy, sloppy, whatever we say about it, this could mean that we will have a diplomatic resolution to this crisis, which in the end would be the best thing.
And that's really the broader point. 10 years removed, if the Syria conflict doesn't escalate, if there's a diplomatic solution, and this is seen as the origin of that, that's a good thing.
And we get rid of all of
and we get rid of those chemical weapons. At the end of the day, that's all we want. This back and forth and who looks weak and who looks strong, it's great for today, but it's not going to matter 5-10 years from now if this problem is resolved.
All right, and we're going to go to a break here. I'm going to get you involved in the conversation at 866-55-PRESS. But now the big question is, what the hell does President Obama say to the nation tonight?
Well, it's now in the East Room, so the address is less
it's now in the East Room. It's not from the Oval Office. But
big deal, I guess.
So let's see. He says, I still want to bomb them, but I'm willing to wait until we see what they do with chemical weapons. Or congratulations, John Kerry, you just got us out of a mess.
Everything is on hold until I hear from Vladimir.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I would almost postpone the address. Right?
I don't see why they don't. They might. The pace this thing's going.
You are so right about that. Igor Volsky is with us from Think Progress. Stay with us, 866-55-PRESS, the toll-free number.
This is the Bill Press Show.
in the next half hour here on the Bill Press Show. 24 minutes after the hour, Igor Volsky. He's the managing editor of Think Progress, a great site. It's the sort of publications, communications, research arm of the Center for American Progress. Make it your homepage. Check it out several times a day. Go to thinkprogress.org. Just to get away from Syria for just a second. Yesterday, guess who is back in the news? George Zimmerman.
If there's one thing that could push Syria out of the news, it's George Zimmerman.
Exactly. His soon-to-be, I think, ex-wife calls 911 because George Zimmerman is threatening her and her father.
He's in his car, and he continually has his hand on his gun, and he keeps saying, "Step closer." He's just threatening all of us with his firearms, and he's going to shoot us.
Yeah, step closer, and he's going to shoot us. And she says he has already attacked her father.
He punched my dad in the nose. My dad has a mark on his face. I saw his glasses were on the floor. He accosted my father, and then took my iPad out of my hand and smashed it and cut it with a pocket knife.
I think this guy might be trouble.
Chilling, yeah.
The whole come closer thing, I just can't stop imagining and hearing in my head him saying that to Trayvon Martin.
Absolutely.
As Trayvon Martin was across the sidewalk or across the thing and just saying, "Come closer. Yeah. Come closer." And as soon as he got close enough to make it an altercation.
Or as Trayvon Martin was deciding, I'm just going to ignore this guy and go to my father and Trayvon Martin. No,
come closer.
Come closer. Come closer here. I want to talk to you.
Get close to me.
Yeah.
The jury in the Zimmerman case, that juror B37, if you remember, told us that she thinks that George should be able to own a gun because he learned his lesson, and now, even more so than before, he's going to be a lot more careful. And we're finding out, and not all the details are clear here. We don't exactly know. It seems to be a he said, she said. There's some security footage that they're going to go over.
She's not filing charges after all.
She's not filing charges. And we'll see how this plays out. But this is a guy, as we all learned, who has a history of domestic violence, who seems to have an anger problem, who, since his acquittal, had some trouble with the police, had run-ins with, he's got speeding tickets, I believe. He got his gun back. A group raised money to help him purchase a gun. He went to the manufacturer of the gun that killed Trayvon and got a gun from them. So we'll see how this plays out. The good news, I guess, for some people, depending on what direction this goes in, is that the state of Florida can press charges even if Shelley decides not to. All
right, we just got a minute left. One other thing I wanted to ask you about. Now, again, Syria dominates everything right now, but you had a post yesterday. Your guide to everything Congress has to get done in the next 39
and will.
39 days. And will and is unlikely to. But seriously, their plate is full coming back, right?
It's overflowing, basically. It's a whole buffet of things they need to do. Obviously, keep the government open is the top priority. You're going to have the continuing resolution coming up at the end of this month. Will Republicans stick Obamacare defunding provisions?
Of course they will. Try to.
Well, now there's this big debate. Do we split the bill in two and have them vote on it in different ways? And so the Senate can vote on defunding so they can force the senators who are running for re-election to take this tough vote. There's all of that calculation. But will they get much of anything substantial done? I doubt it. There's the Farm Bill, there's immigration reform, but with 39 days left, I think it will all be fiscal.
Budget, debt ceiling, immigration reform, Farm Bill.
The reforming sexual assault in the Pentagon through the Defense Authorization Bill. That could happen.
And then climate change, but who cares about that anymore? Oh, God. Igor Volsky, great to see you, my friend. ThinkProgress.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know, you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
67. Hey, here we are on a Tuesday morning, indeed, Tuesday, September 10, covering the issues of the day with you on your local progressive talk radio station on Free Speech TV and online at TawkrTV. It is youtube.com/TawkrTV, TawkrTV. We were just talking about the George Zimmerman, who's kind of like Pigpen, with that dark cloud hanging over him. Let me tell you something. This guy, it's only a matter of time. This guy is going to kill somebody else, and he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life, and he ought to be there anyhow for killing Trayvon Martin.
If trouble
what
finds
a travesty of justice.
If trouble finds you as often as it finds him, maybe you're the problem. Maybe he's the problem.
Yeah, so I don't know how long it's been. What has it been? 2-3 months or whatever? 6 months since that verdict has been that long, has it? But
it's been like 3 months.
Okay, and he's been arrested twice for traffic violations.
Pulled over
twice, and yesterday taken into custody for threatening, allegedly with a gun. I've heard different reports about that, but she thought he had one. But for threatening his wife and his father-in-law, or former father-in-law, with physical violence. Yeah,
his lawyer confirmed that he owns a gun, and for all of the conservatives or otherwise who wanted to turn him into some hero after he was acquitted,
role model. Oh yeah,
and say, oh well, this is just proof that the gun, the stand your ground laws work, and
right. This is proof that the stand your ground law
anymore.
It's proof that the stand your ground laws let a thug get away with murder. That's what it proved. Rob is calling from Sunnyside, New York, on the Zimmerman case. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, good to see you. Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Yeah, I don't know why it was just custody, why they didn't arrest him, because they should arrest him on behalf of the state. It's basically a domestic dispute. You see all the time on cops, they come and the woman says this, and then, don't press charges, but we have to because we're acting on behalf of the state, and ultimately on behalf of her. If you make a threat, it's just a threat. But if you make a threat and you have a concealed weapon and you lift up your shirt, that's menacing. If you hit her father, that's assault.
That's assault.
See why it's all cut and dry. Kind of just like the cop that let him go when they pulled him over with a gun that he shouldn't have had.
You know what, Rob? I think you're absolutely right. I think the only answer is Florida. This is Florida, and we have seen that justice doesn't work the same way in Florida that it works in other states and should work. And you're right. Even though she's not pressing charges, they could have held him on behalf of the state. Igor made that same point. Rob, good to hear from you. Meanwhile, the issue of the day remains, and look forward to taking your calls on this stunning change in the situation regarding Syria. And with Congress coming back yesterday, and as we started the day yesterday, the whole focus was President Obama's efforts to convince members of Congress that they should authorize a military strike against Syria for its use of chemical weapons, even though at that point Syria was still denying that it possessed chemical weapons. And then suddenly, fast forward to this morning, fast forward to yesterday afternoon. By yesterday afternoon, we had an entirely different situation where John Kerry suggests, we could avoid this whole mess if Syria would only turn over their chemical weapons. Russia says, hey, sounds like a good idea to us. Syria says, hey, we might entertain that, thereby admitting that they have chemical weapons.
Right.
See how fast it changes. And by the end of the day, President Obama was telling Diane Sawyer in one of the 6 network interviews he gave yesterday that even he would take this seriously and look into it.
I consider this a modestly positive development. John Kerry is going to talk to his counterparts, and we're going to run this to ground.
And then by this morning, we've got the headline in the New York Times: Obama backs idea for Syria to cede control of its arms. And the United Nations is back in the picture by saying, okay, we'll take the responsibility for making sure that we get all the chemical weapons that Syria's got. And by the way, they're spread. You've seen the map, maybe. They're spread all over the country. They're not just in one place. They've got different depots with these chemical weapons in them. But the United Nations is saying, we'll take the responsibility. We'll put the group together. We'll get the weapons in one place and make sure they're safe. And we will monitor them and oversee them until they can all be destroyed. And so suddenly we're left with the possibility of a diplomatic solution to this whole thing. And now France is introducing a resolution this morning in the Security Council, putting this process in motion.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news just came across the wires. Breaking: Syrian foreign minister has spoken out this morning, says Syria has accepted the Russian proposal to surrender control over its chemical weapons. So this proposal, we were sort of not sure how Syria would react to it. Their foreign minister says they agreed to it. They're fine with it. They'll give them up.
And yesterday morning they were denying they had chemical weapons.
Amazing.
And now they're saying we will turn them all over to you. And again, it wouldn't have happened, I believe, it would not have happened if they didn't face the threat of a U.S. bombing attack.
Yep.
But it could be the diplomatic solution that we've been looking for. And I'm left, and I ask you the big question, 866-55-PRESS. What the hell does the president say tonight now? What does he ask the nation? Does he ask the nation for support for a military strike? Seriously.
I couldn't have. I mean, whatever speech that they were working on is totally scrapped at this point, right?
They had a speech written. You know what you do with that one? There it is. There it is. Let's start back to the drawing board. Congressman Keith Ellison from Minnesota, next on the Bill Press Show.
Go mobile with Bill Press. Download podcasts at BillPressShow.com and listen anytime, anywhere. This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Hey friends, just a little reminder that our third hour will not be carried on Free Speech TV, but you can continue to stream us live, don't forget, on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. In the third hour together this morning, we'll be talking to David Jackson down at the White House, covers the White House for USA Today, and for Juana from Politico about the big debate on Congress, what happens now on Syria. before the top of the hour, Tuesday morning, September 10. The Bill Press Show coming to you all across this nation of ours this morning, and we're talking about, among other topics, but the dominating topic, of course, is Syria. And yesterday the question was, will Congress approve a military strike and give the president authorization to launch a military strike against Syria in retaliation for its use of chemical weapons? Today, the question seems to be, is there really a deal in the making whereby Syria will admit it has chemical weapons and turn them over to the UN, and we can avoid this whole mess altogether? Right in the middle of it, Congressman Keith Ellison from the 5th District of the state of Minnesota, great friend of the program, joining us on our news line this morning. Hey, Congressman, how's it going?
How you doing, Bill?
All right, pretty good. So I know you were at the White House yesterday meeting with Susan Rice. The president came into that meeting, correct?
Yep, he sure did.
And what was his argument at that time? Tell us about that meeting. What was he asking you?
Well, I was in several meetings at the White House, and what the president's basic argument is, look, a mass atrocity has been committed in a suburb of Damascus. The mass atrocity was about 1,400 people dead, about nearly 500 kids dead, and the agent used to kill them was sarin gas, and that the delivery happened from air. They got satellites to show some from the government-held areas to the rebel-held areas. So they shot something, and then immediately thereafter, people reported that they were being poisoned by sarin gas. Hospitals began to get people in. About 3,700 people ended up reporting to a hospital and saying that this had been sudden. Now, you should know that a full day of conventional weapon shelling had been happening in that area all day, and then it was followed at that early morning hours by the weapons canisters. What Obama said is that they believe that there was a sarin gas attack against this population, that the United States is signatory to legislation and to treaties saying that we cannot stand back and tolerate governments using sarin gas weapons against anybody, including civilian populations.
Right.
And that we got to do something about it. And, if the world won't, we will. Now, the world, including the British Parliament and others, they're not saying that this didn't happen. They're not saying it's not horrible. They're not even saying that there's no international treaty. What they're saying is they're not up to it personally, and they don't want to do it. So bottom line is, the president said he wants to do some punitive strikes to make sure that, one, they degrade Assad's ability to do it again, and two, that they send a signal that no other Assad-like dictator better not try to do it again.
Right. Now,
and so that's what happened.
The president's asking your support for that strike. I want to get to the Russian proposal in just a second, but taking things in order, the president's asking your support for that strike. Does he have your support?
Yes, I'm supporting the president at this point. Now, look, I am giving myself some percentage of space to say that if new information comes in, I'm certainly going to listen to that. And also, I'm hopeful that this Russian offer of removing all the chemical weapons from Syria will be something that we can do. But Russia's been jacking around for 2.5 years, blocking things at the Security Council, and even Syria itself has been shooting at monitors. Remember, Kofi Annan was there. He had to throw his hands up because just couldn't get any cooperation. So at the end of the day, these people, now that they got religion, fine. I don't care. I'm result oriented here. If we can get all these nuclear stockpiles out of Syria and a real plan to do it, then I'd be for that 100 times more. I mean, I hate war. I hate military action. I think it is a necessary evil sometimes, and oftentimes it's not necessary. But in this situation, the world stood back and let so many people get killed in Kosovo. Of course, the world did eventually step in. Many died before we did. And same thing in Rwanda, Darfur, and even in World War II. And I'm just one of those people who believes that if we can do something about it, we should. And that's where I'm at. I know a lot of my friends who they're surprised about my position on this. They really shouldn't be, because I've never said I was a pacifist, and I've always believed that we're one world and all have a responsibility to each other. And so, at the end of the day, it's not popular, I can tell you that. My district's not that happy with the president's proposal, but every 2 years they get to decide whether they want me to come back or not. And, I'm sure that some people are going to have some, things to say about this, but I'm trying to do the best I know how to do.
Well,
and if people don't want that, then that's the way it is.
Congressman, on the Russian proposal, so that's what it's become known now as a Russian proposal, even though it originally started, with John Kerry's offhand remark in London. Yes, and it's happened so fast. I mean, it's just stunning. How can we trust you sort of spoke to this. How can we trust the Russians or the Syrians? As of 24 hours ago, the Syrians were denying they even had chemical weapons, right? And now,
and now suddenly they have them,
and
right?
And they're going to give them up, right?
And they're willing to give them up. Well, it just goes to show. It goes to show we're talking to people who are not that trustworthy, okay? But if we can have an international group do it, then I could see how. I mean, I support it. I think
absolutely.
It's worth the risk.
Absolutely.
If we can remove all the chemical weapons from the Assad people and from the country, then there will be an ugly, grinding, conventional war that will take place. But at least civilians will be a little safer. At least Assad will know that there are lines that he better not cross. And maybe we can get more toward a conviction. Maybe we can get toward a settlement. If he knows he can't cheat and use weapons of mass destruction, maybe he'll agree to do something now.
Absolutely. I mean, this could be the best of all worlds. It all could work out.
Be.
But so, Congressman, what do you think is going to happen now? Do you think that Congress will wait to see how this plays out before a vote is taken to authorize a strike?
Honestly, I think that waiting is not a good idea, because the only reason we're to this point is because Barack Obama said, I'm about to hit you, because of what you just did. And then they're like, okay, I guess we better figure out how to get serious about this. And now they're coming up with creative solutions to solve the problem. I think that if we act like, oh, yeah, we'll wait around for you to figure out what you're going to do, they will take every second of that waiting, right? And you got to know that Assad, there's already 2 million refugees in Turkey, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon. There's already 6 million internally displaced people, 100,000 people already killed, and it's escalating. And so we shouldn't wait. We should tell them to hurry up. We should tell them to hurry up, get it done, no games, and maybe they can avert a strike. And if we do that, I think we will be able to get something done, because this is a groundbreaker. I mean, Syria is now, for the first time, saying, yeah, maybe we could give up these chemical weapons. And Russia, their sponsor, is saying the same thing. So at this point, I think that something good can happen, but I think we'd be making a mistake if we decide to shut it down and say, well, we're not going to move forward. We're going to give Russia a chance. Russia's already had 10 chances.
Right. It is moving so fast, boy. I got to tell you, it's a moving target. You got to run fast to keep up with it. And you are, Congressman, and you're great, Fred. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Anytime, Bill. You bet. See you.
All right, you got it. Congressman Keith Ellison, great guy from the 5th District, Minnesota.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look! Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. you'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Hey friends, just a little reminder that our third hour will not be carried on Free Speech TV, but you can continue to stream us live, don't forget, on youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. In the third hour together this morning, we'll be talking to David Jackson down at the White House, covers the White House for USA Today, and for Juana Summers from Politico about the big debate on Congress, what happens now on Syria.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Okay, with the news of the day and your comments, it is the Bill Press Show. President Obama, very busy day today. He will be meeting with the Senate Democratic Caucus here on Capitol Hill at 12:30 today, and then he goes over and meets with the Senate Republican Caucus. And then he goes back to the White House and gets ready for the big speech from the East Room tonight on Syria with the latest developments about this Russian plan. God knows what the president's going to say tonight. Will he still be asking Congress to authorize a strike? We will find out. Stay tuned for that. And a reminder, all of our friends on Free Speech TV, Free Speech TV will not carry our third hour, but you can follow us. Just move over to your computer. Follow us online at youtube.com/TawkrTV. See you in just a few.
This is The Bill Press Show.
A message.
morning, friends and neighbors. What do you say? It is Tuesday, September 10. So good to see you today. Welcome to the Bill Press Show, coming to you live and bringing you the news of the day. We're here in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, keeping our eye on all the big events here in our nation's capital. Is a very busy, busy place the last couple of days around the country and around the globe. We'll not only tell you what's going on, but we'll give you a chance to tell us what you think about it. You can do so by phone at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter. We monitor Twitter all the time at BP Show, and same thing on Facebook, facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, Syria has been turned upside down since yesterday. Yesterday, we were wondering how soon we could strike Syria and whether Congress would say yes or no. And Assad was denying he had chemical weapons. Today, Russia and Syria admit that they've got chemical weapons. And now the only question is, how soon can we get them out of Syria in order to avoid a U.S. bombing attack? President Obama, meanwhile, is getting ready for his address to the nation tonight, but we're not sure whether he's still going to ask for a bombing strike or not. In other news, George Zimmerman held, the guy who murdered Trayvon Martin, held by police yesterday after his wife placed a 911 call saying Zimmerman was threatening her and her father, allegedly with a gun. I told you that guy was a good-for-nothing bum and a troublemaker, and now we know it for a fact. That and a whole lot more we're going to talk about this morning, so stay with us. Give us your calls. We'll see you right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look, your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest greatest threat. Did you commit to change the world?
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, it's hard to keep up with what's happening in Syria. Yesterday, Assad was saying we don't have any chemical weapons. Today he's saying, hey, we'll turn them over if you promise not to bomb us. What the hell? What are we doing? Hey, what do you say? Hello, everybody. Great to see you. It's Tuesday morning, September 10. This is the Bill Press Show. Good to have you with us. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital and our studio on Capitol Hill. We're so close to the Capitol. We can hear them screaming and fighting right from our studio, and they can hear us, you bet, and hear you and your comments on what's going on the news of the day. We'll bring you up to date on all the news here from our nation's capital, both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue, around the country and around the globe, and then give you a chance, open up the phone lines and the online social media sites so you can tell us what you think about it all. Telephone number 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number, on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Look forward to hearing from you and your chance to interact with our team here, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Hey, good morning.
Hey. Good morning, good morning. Alicia Cruz, she's standing by, waiting for your calls, and Cyprian Bolding is keeping us looking good on the video stream, again, at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKR-TV, and, of course, on your local progressive talk radio station. Well, you know, before we get back into the serious news of the day, I got to tell you, if you ever lived in California, or I'd say the West Coast, you would know the name Cal Worthington. He passed away yesterday at the age of 92. Probably the most colorful businessman, showman ever. You know, he was a car dealer. Mm-hmm. And started out with not much money and a crappy location. And he decided the only way he could ever make any money and get people to his dealership was to do like outrageous, different, funny ads. And he did. And he did all kinds of crazy. He would stand on his head on top of cars and have his photo taken. You know, and he would say, "I'll stand on my head until my ears turn red." Until you show up to buy a car. No, he did all that kind of crazy stuff. And he also, one time, he had himself strapped to a biplane, and the biplane turns over. So it's flying upside down, and he's hanging upside down.
All to sell a car.
All to sell a car. There's a picture of him in the in the New York Times this morning.
Hanging upside down from a biplane. Okay.
And then he came up with this hokey, corny little music bed or song. This was the Cal Worthington song with all kinds of corny lyrics to it. And it worked. Here he is.
Here's Cal Worthington at his dog spot. If you need a better car, go see Cal. For the best deal by far, go see Cal. If you want your payments low, if you want to save some dough, go see Cal, go see Cal.
Go see Cal.
Any model, any make, go see Cal. Give your pocketbook a break, go see Cal. Save some money, save some time, save a nickel, save a dime. Lower prices every time, go see Cal. Go see Cal. On the blink, go see Cal. Maybe later than you think. Go see Cal. 1,000 cars were pushed at you. Let him drive away your blues. Go see Cal. Go see Cal. Go see Cal.
Go see Cal. I love it. I love it. It's hard to hear the lyrics here, but I think it's just one verse goes, if your axle is a sagging, go see Cal. Maybe you need a station wagon. Go see Cal. If your wife has started nagging and your tailpipe is a dragon, go see Cal. Go see Cal. Go see Cal.
Perfect.
And he made a fortune. Oh man,
I wasn't familiar with him at all. I'm sad to say, and I saw a lot of people reference the story.
When I got to
yesterday.
L.A., he's a legend, particularly in Southern California. David Jackson from the White House joins us here at the top of the hour, and Juana Summers from Politico covers defense issues on the Hill. She'll be along in studio a little bit later. But first,
this
what do you got?
is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Tuesday. Diana Nyad is telling the skeptics to bring it on. CBS reports the long-distance swimmer is set to meet with members of the marathon swimming community that are questioning a portion of her swim from Cuba to Florida last week, wondering if she got help from a boat while underway. One of her spokespeople says Nyad is proud of what she accomplished and is committed to complete transparency.
Yeah, I mean,
good for her.
I like the fact she's going to sit down with him and say, "No, I'm for real."
Yeah, I mean, I think that they do have a point. If she went faster in this one little stretch, that's not done. But then just prove it. That's all. Good for her.
Kim Jong-un is a father. Dennis Rodman let that news slip upon his return from North Korea this week. The Guardian reporting that former NBA star said the North Korean dictator has a baby daughter with his wife named Ju-ae. Rodman said he held the baby and that Kim Jong-un is a good dad.
Oh, yeah, right. And a good dictator, too.
Does anybody see this ending well? This whole relationship between Rodman and Kim Jong-un. I mean, is there any way that this could possibly turn out to be a good situation?
Watch Rodman defect to North Korea.
He will do something dumb like that.
I hope he does. Serves him right.
Yeah, fine with me. And you can have him.
He'd be back with his tail between his legs in a month.
And Apple has its next big unveiling at its headquarters today. The Huffington Post said it expects the company to reveal an updated version of its current iPhone, likely called the iPhone 5S. It may have fingerprint security technology included. Also, they may introduce a cheaper plastic version of the iPhone and a new operating system, iOS 7, plus a big upgrade to Apple TV. But that is, of course, just a summary of rumors that have been circulating since June.
Can't wait to see what the new iPhone is or looks like, or whether I ought to go out and get one. But big event today out on the West Coast. We'll be watching that. Right now, most of our eyes, of course, and talk on and attention focused on Syria. That dominated the entire White House briefing yesterday with Jay Carney and with Deputy National Security Advisor Tony Blinken. David Jackson covers the White House for USA Today. He joins us on our newsline this morning. Hey, David, how are you?
Fine, sir. How are you?
I don't know about you. I had the impression yesterday at that briefing that while the administration was making its case through Jay Carney and Tony Blinken for why Congress had to support a military strike against Syria, we were watching the rug being pulled out from under them, David.
Yeah, it was amazing. The briefing happened right after Russia made this announcement, right after this proposal. And, it takes a while to respond to some of these things, and the White House was kind of caught in between events, if you will. And they also weren't on the same page with the State Department, because over at the State Department, some of our colleagues were being told, well, Kerry was just speaking off the cuff. We're not sure this is a real proposal. But at the White House, they were kind of embracing it.
By the end of the day, the president, we heard Tony Blinken told us in the briefing room, of course, that we're going to take a hard look at it. Here's President Obama with Diane Sawyer, David, and he said basically the same thing to the other network anchors by the end of the afternoon.
I consider this a modestly positive development. John Kerry is going to talk to his counterparts, and we're going to run this to ground.
It's stunning how fast this happened, isn't it, David?
Well, very much so. Although the White House really can't turn it down. I mean, it's a peace proposal, if you will. So they have to take at least a cursory look at it. But I see. I think there could be a lot of problems down the line. Namely, who will verify whether Syria in fact turns over these weapons, and
whether they get them all, right?
Right.
How many? We don't know how. Because yesterday morning they were still denying they had any at all.
Well, exactly, as Tony also pointed out to us. So it's. I see a lot of potential roadblocks. I think the one thing we know for sure is it's going to delay any action Congress takes. But beyond that, I think it's all uncertain. I was just going to ask you that. It does seem to me, Harry Reid has already said, well, Wednesday's vote is going to be put off now, right? Right. So, and I was trying to get a question in yesterday, David. But my question would have been, if you're a member of Congress, why would you vote to authorize a strike when they're negotiating this possible turnover of the weapons, right? Well, exactly. And Joe Manchin, of course, who's pushing an alternative, is saying that very thing. So, it's... in fact, President Obama, I think it was Diane, he told ABC not to expect any votes this week or in the near future. So who knows how long this thing could get put off.
Now, was this, no matter how it turns out, was this John Kerry just being a little loose-lipped here, or were they really thinking about this?
He was kind of an offhanded comment.
Yeah.
That Assad can end this tomorrow if he turns over all his weapons and dismantles them, but he's not going to do that. That's another. That one thing people don't quote Kerry on is he quickly added, "Well, he's not going to do that, obviously." So, but the Russians picked up on this and decided to make it public. Also, we found out that President Obama has indicated that he's discussed this very idea with Putin as recently as last week, and in recent months they've discussed something similar to that. So it didn't come totally out of thin air, but I think there's a lot of skepticism within the U.S. government.
He did, I forgot that. President Obama did say that in St. Petersburg, when he and Putin had this unscheduled meeting, that one of the two of them raised this as a possibility. Right. As a kind of a way out, a face-saving device. So let me ask you this: at the end of the road, no matter how messy this is, right, and it's all played out pretty sloppily in front of the world, but at the end of the day, if they could pull this off, it's the best of both worlds, isn't it?
I would think so. I mean, sure. I mean, if Syria agrees to turn over its chemical weapons and they are dismantled and it's supervised by the United Nations or the IEA or some other organization, I mean, I would think that would, would take a lot of the pressure off for a U.S. military strike, although as several people pointed out to me, that just means that Assad can keep on killing the rebels with traditional means, but so it'd still be kind of a flap over the violence in Syria, but the chemical weapons issue would be removed. But, I got to say, that's kind of hard to see at this point.
There is also the possibility that a diplomatic solution here might quicken a diplomatic solution to the civil war too, but that of course is by no means
right. Hopefully, but it's
all right.
I mean, Obama's in a box. I mean, not only he needs this proposal, but it's increasingly he's got intense opposition in Congress. Let's put it that way. I mean, the odds are downright against him in the House, and there's even some suggestions he might not be able to get a resolution out of the Senate.
All right. Now, given all of that, and the president on his schedule today is going to come up and meet with the Senate Democratic caucus, and then he's going to meet with the Republican caucus in the Senate, and then he's going to come back to the White House and from the East Room, not the Oval Office, give a speech tonight to the nation. David Jackson, what the hell does he say?
This kind of came out late last night. We were wondering in the press room, will he go through with his speech? I think he's got to, because it's been so ballyhooed and so promoted, and he's got the network time. He might as well use it. But it's. I think he'll try to lay out the diplomatic issues, but also I think he'll try to reinforce his position that Syria has used these chemical weapons. That even though it's in a faraway country, this is an issue that could very well affect our own national security. I think he'll just try to keep making the case, and he's going to need the time to try to build support because the polls aren't with him.
But this
it may well be part one of a two-part primetime speech. We may see him again down the line in a similar situation.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see how he can ask Congress to vote this week to authorize a military strike with this playing out on this diplomatic thing playing out.
Oh, I agree, and I can't see the. I certainly can't see the House wanting to do it, given the situation, and then you hear similar sentiments out of the Senate. So, and also we've got a budget. Don't forget we've got a budget crisis coming up here in the next couple of weeks, so they've got to deal with that as well. And he may use this speech to announce that. I guarantee you that his speechwriters were very busy overnight trying to figure out how to incorporate all this into one coherent set of remarks. So. He could. I mean, that could well be the lead out of tonight's speech is that he's putting off some kind of congressional vote. We'll just have to see.
All right. Why is he doing it from the East Room and not the Oval Office?
They're just not big on Oval Office addresses. They feel like they're overrated, and that. My own theory is Obama just doesn't like it. I think Obama likes to be standing. President Obama likes to be standing when he's giving speeches, and he also likes to give speeches with people in the room. So,
you
I think
he'll have a crowd
office.
in the Oval Office tonight? It won't just be the president at the cross hall there.
Right. My understanding is going to be in the East. I don't think it'll be the only crowd will be reporters, but there will be people there while he's giving a speech. So there'll be a semblance of an actual speech, which is, I think, the mode he prefers.
Yeah. No, he's more comfortable in that position for sure. And somebody said yesterday that the Oval Office desk is where President Bush announced he was invading Iraq. So maybe he doesn't want any reminders.
Also, you just mentioned the fact that these new developments on the diplomatic front lessens the idea for an Oval Office address. Yeah. The perception is that the Oval Office address is the serious one, the really big one, and I don't think this speech now is the really big one.
All right. Well, David, they're fun times to be working at the White House, I got to tell you.
Yeah, the story changes every minute.
It does indeed. All right. See you a little later. Thanks, David. David Jackson covers the White House for
Bill Press Show.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, so President Obama on his way up to the Hill. By the way, that means that it's going to be hell getting around Capitol Hill here today with the president in the building. But at any rate, just down the street from us, President coming up to meet with the Senate Democratic Caucus right around noon today, a little after, and then he'll be going over to meet with the Republican Caucus, all about Syria. We will, Juana Summers covers the Congress on defense issues, and this is certainly one big one for Politico Pro. She will be here in studio with us for the next half hour. Meanwhile, today is a day we've been waiting for. It's the last we will hear of Anthony Weiner, well, at least maybe for a couple of days. Anyhow, because today is the primary in the mayor's race in New York, and it looks like Bill de Blasio, a good friend of our program, has been on several times, the most progressive candidate in the race, and the most anti-Bloomberg candidate in the race, is way out in front. He's definitely going to be in the runoff. He could even win it outright today. Bill Thompson and Christine Quinn are in first, second place, and third place. Anthony Weiner is basically a no-show at this point, but he did show up with Lawrence O'Donnell last night on MSNBC, and Lawrence O'Donnell really went after him, kind of a vicious attack. Here he is.
Just one basic question for you that I think a lot of people have wondered about for different reasons over the course of the campaign. For me, it just comes down to this, which is, what is wrong with you?
I don't understand the question. What is wrong with me that I care so much about the issues that I fight for every day, that I have my entire career?
No. What I mean is this. What is wrong with you that you cannot seem to imagine a life without elective office?
That's ridiculous.
Well, first of all,
that's a great way to start an interview, huh?
First of all, I think Lawrence O'Donnell proved to be a real a-hole with that question. First, why even book Anthony Weiner?
Right.
Everybody knows he's a joke. Everybody knows he's not. There's no way he's going to win. Why even book him? But then, I find myself defending Anthony Weiner. You could ask that same question of a lot of people. You could ask that same question of Hillary Clinton. Why do you feel you have to be in elective office? I mean, she's going to run for president again. She should. You could ask it of Chuck Schumer, right? You could ask it of Barack Obama. I mean, politicians, they're there because, for a lot of reasons, they want to do some good, but they also want to be in elective office. There's a big ego involved, and I don't think you can attack him for it. Lawrence O'Donnell, shame on you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we...
social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we are 33 minutes after the hour now here on a Tuesday morning. Coming to you live from our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill. Come to you today thanks to the good men and women of AFSCME. Yes, AFSCME, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country under President Lee Saunders. For more information about their good work making America happen, check out their website at afscme.org, afscme.org. Again, Syria is the number one issue. President Obama coming up to Capitol Hill today to personally meet with and lobby the Democratic members of the Senate first, and then the Republican members of the Senate, still asking them to authorize a military strike. At least we think that's what he's going to be asking, a military strike against Syria in retaliation for Syria's use of chemical weapons against its own citizens. And then he is scheduled to make an address to the nation this evening, covering Defense Department issues on the Hill for Politico Pro, Juana Summers, who's in studio with us this morning. Hey, Juana, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
I only have one question for you. What's wrong with you?
Not enough coffee, Bill. Not enough coffee this morning. But there's a long list. I'm sure you can ask any of my friends for that one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, can't you see life without having to write something every day? What's wrong with you? Right.
Oh man.
So what do you read now on Capitol Hill? This game has changed so fast. Yesterday, the senators were being asked to authorize a military strike against Syria. Are they still being asked the same thing today?
I think the big question on Capitol Hill today, and what you'll hear the president say to congressional leaders behind closed doors, is that they need to have faith in the fact that this deal that the Russians have come up with can actually work. You heard a lot of skepticism yesterday, even going as high up as Carl Levin, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, saying, yeah, sure, maybe this is a good possibility if it's taken seriously. So there's still a lot of skepticism that Syria will actually hand over its chemical weapons to international control, despite the fact that the prime minister has come out and said that they will accept this deal. So there is still a very hard, serious sell looking forward.
Well, one could understand why people might not trust Syria and might not trust Russia when, as recently as yesterday morning, or maybe in the interview taped Sunday, I guess it was, with Charlie Rose, Assad was denying they even had any chemical weapons, right?
Absolutely. It's a very weird thing. So you're gonna give up to international control something that you're still saying you don't actually have. So not exactly a high threshold for trust there.
Right. And Russia, which has blocked every attempt to even send out a press release on Syria, now says we're going to this is our we're going to adopt this as our project, and we're going to work with Syria and make sure it happens. And now France, who has been our only ally in participating in a military strike, has now put a resolution in front of the United Nations saying we want this process to start. So the UN would be the agency that would take control of these weapons and monitor them and eventually see to their destruction, I guess. I mean, there's so many pieces that you can't imagine that suddenly seem to be at play here.
Absolutely. And something really interesting, Jay Carney a couple of minutes ago suggested that the only reason this diplomatic solution could have come forward is because of the threat of a military strike.
They were saying that
from the United States. That's what's been constantly being said. So expect to hear a lot of that argument coming forward on Capitol Hill today, as well as potentially an undercurrent of the president's speech this evening, which I'm sure is being redrafted at the last minute. Those are writers I do not envy today.
Oh, no, exactly. So you know this Congress better than I. You're there every day. There's nothing they like better than to put things off, right? Nothing they like better than to delay. I mean, they can't come up with a budget. They can't. I mean, and everything they've done, it's been a temporary solution to it at best, right? Or not dealing with the problem at all, like climate change or something. So they were being pushed into a vote to authorize a military strike. Now what are they going to do?
You know, it's not clear. There are a number of different proposals running on Capitol Hill. You'd even heard before this announcement, Harry Reid say that they were going to push a procedural vote on the Syria resolution further on. Again, you have Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel.
Yeah, so it was scheduled it was scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday.
It was suggested it was going to be scheduled for Wednesday, and then they've said that it's going to be pushed along to allow the president time to meet with Senate leaders.
Right. So we don't know when that vote's going to come.
We don't know when that vote's going to come or if there will be a change as to what lawmakers are going to vote on based on these latest international developments. So this is still a very indefinite situation that we have here.
Yeah. So do you think there's a possibility that they could actually do a resolution like you're saying? I'm not sure what the White House is and what the president is asking for when he comes up for Congress today. But if he asks to go full bore for a military strike against Syria, is Congress likely to give him that authorization while this other thing is playing out?
I think it's highly unlikely. You already saw a significant amount of skepticism from congressional lawmakers on both sides of the aisle that a military strike was the way to go. If you look at the various whip counts, it did not seem like the vote was going to go in his favor then.
So
and
it's less likely now.
It's less likely now that you have this new possibility that could avoid American entanglement in another conflict. You are still dealing with a very war-weary Congress. Public sentiment, public support is just not there for these strikes. New polls this morning, again, suggesting 6 in 10 Americans do not support military intervention in Syria.
So could they vote, okay, a conditional strike authorization? You have our authority to launch a military strike against Syria, provided this Russian proposal thing, provided in 60 days this Russian proposal thing doesn't work out, or 7 days, or whatever.
I'm sure that that's possible. You can write just about anything in a bill and get it moving through. But I don't see that being the most likely venue. I would see it either being one way or the other, that either there's authorization for the use of military force, or there is a wait and see if this diplomatic process, if handing over control of these weapons international members works out, and then going ahead.
I agree.
From there.
No, I agree. I don't think they'll authorize a conditional strike at all. So then we come down to, they're almost, it seems, the president is almost forced to let this thing play out. In fact, he in effect said so yesterday by the end of the day, saying it's a serious proposal. So, nothing happens that fast at the United Nations, right? I mean, when John Kerry yesterday made his initial flip comment, it was, he can get rid of give us all of his weapons in a week, but I'll never do it. Well, it's not going to be a week. It's going to be months, right? Wouldn't you think?
This is going to be a long process.
And there's a civil war going on, by the way. Hello. There's a war going on.
I think that's where you run into some real difficulty here as the president, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense have used incredibly strong rhetoric, calling this reprehensibly morally, talking about the number of children that have been killed in the civil war and about this red line that has been crossed. And now you get into a holding pattern. So I think that makes this a very delicate situation for a president who has said, we must do something. And now we'll be waiting to see the results of a diplomatic solution. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of marks how he is graded in this situation looking forward.
All right. So then that leads us up to the meetings today and then the message to the nation tonight. So you're one of those speechwriters down at the White House who has just junked everything that you've been working on for, I'm sure, while the president was in St. Petersburg, they were working on this speech, right? Probably scanning it back and forth, and the president was looking at the first drafts. Now they're starting from scratch as of yesterday. What does he say to the nation tonight?
I think there are some elements that will remain the same. I've been long convinced that the president's new messaging on this has been far stronger than his older messaging on Syria, that while it is morally reprehensible and while there are children overseas dying and no one wants to see a civil war of this scope and caliber go on, he needs to tap into the national security fears of this nation and tap into saying this is why intervention in Syria or action in Syria of some kind is important for American national security. Yeah. He has to get it into the living rooms and the kitchens of everyday people in middle America who might not really be disengaged, because as awful as it is, if you're just talking about what the bloodshed over there, those are those people. That's not tapping into what's happening to typical American lives. So I think a lot of that language will likely remain the same, or that undercurrent in the speech. But now he also has to make people understand why waiting and having faith in a diplomatic solution is the right thing to do after spending days and weeks talking about just how important it is to act with urgency. And that is a very, very difficult balancing act given the way that this debate has been framed over the last few weeks.
So make the national security case, but also the case why we still have to pursue the diplomatic solution. Huh?
He has been urging lawmakers over the last couple of days, he and other members of the administration, that we must act, we must do something now. And so to translate that urgency into waiting to see the process play out is difficult. Why was it urgent a couple of days ago, and now the answer is to wait?
I thought it was a tricky speech to begin with. Mm-hmm. Now it's even trickier,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Oh, man. Juana Summers here from Politico Pro. Join the conversation. This is a tough one. And again, you're a member of Congress. What would you do? And what do you want to hear from the president tonight? 866-55-PRESS here on the Bill Press Show this Tuesday morning.
Go mobile with Bill Press. Download podcasts at BillPressShow.com and listen anytime, anywhere. This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, Tuesday morning, September 10th, 13 minutes before the top of the hour. Good to have you with us today. Back to our comments about Syria here in just a second. But first, a word about emergencylink.com. You've heard me talk about it before. The way to think about it is imagine if you had an accident and you were unconscious and you were unable to communicate with medical responders. That could make the difference between life and death in an accident like that. Avoid that possibility with Emergency Link ID. It's a small ID tag that you attach to your key ring or you put in your wallet or your purse that will tell emergency responders everything they need to know. Your medical history, your meds, allergies, doctor's contact info, and most importantly, whom to notify. This could literally mean the difference between life and death in your case. So sign up for Emergency Link today. Emergency Link's emergency response service only costs you $10 a year. You receive your ID kit free. That's $10 a year, your ID kit free. To get it, go to emergencylink.com now and enter press. Emergencylink.com, emergencylink.com. Enter press at emergencylink.com. In studio with us, Juana Summers, covering defense issues for Politico Pro at Politico.com. Juana, again, thank you for coming in. And Peter, you've got
one quick tweet I want to mention. Our good friend Neil King. Yes. You can follow him on Twitter, in King of DC. Tweeted earlier today.
He is the king.
He is the king, at least of Capitol Hill in this area. He said, I recommend watching or rewatching In the Loop to better understand this week's events. If you haven't seen the movie In the Loop, you must go watch it. It's fantastic, and you'll love it if you follow politics.
All right. Thank you, Neil.
There you go.
Juana, I want to ask you, so first of all, what is the military prepared to do right now? What kind of resources do we have there, and what do you know about what the plan is?
Well, they haven't leaked out a lot of details, but of course you've heard the talk about the Navy making preparations and moving ships into the area. They have said, Chuck Hagel, the Secretary of Defense, has said repeatedly that as soon as there is a go order, that they have prepared resources to strike. One of the things you've heard about this that's been really interesting on Capitol Hill, though, from Buck McKeon, the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, is that he's really concerned with sequestration hanging over the military, about the readiness of troops to engage in such a mission. He had a Wall Street Journal op-ed out last night in which he said that he would vote against any resolution to use force in Syria if the president did not commit to addressing the sequestration cuts hitting the military during any deal on the debt ceiling.
The president didn't put the sequestration cuts in place, as Congress did by not acting.
Yeah, I think a lot of Republicans on the Armed Services Committee would probably argue with that, but there are many House Republicans are now looking to try Syria to this debate on sequestration, saying that it is hurting our national security for the military to be staring down this volume of cuts over the next couple of years.
Republicans, I'm not meaning to get in the debate with you, but Republicans in Congress are the ones who wanted the sequestration. Not Buck McKeon, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
He's one of the old line Republicans who's not part of this Tea Party crowd. But he ought to talk to his fellow Republicans about that. They could get rid of the sequestration anytime they wanted, right, in Congress. In fact, the president has asked them to, and they refused to do it. So, nice try blaming that on Obama. But so what will they do? Do you know whether they plan, is it 20 cruise missiles or 100, or is it, one target or 200 targets? Any idea of the range we're talking about here?
I haven't heard a lot of details about the range. The two things that seem to be publicly floating around is whether this will be cruise missiles or whether there will be joint airstrikes with the French and American military. But past that level, they haven't really gotten into that kind of granular detail, which I guess is a good thing, because I probably wouldn't want to give Assad's government a roadmap as to exactly how I plan to attack him.
All right. Now, let's come back to what's happening with this diplomatic effort, okay? So these ships that we have moved into the Persian Gulf, is it? And including the destroyers, the ones that have this capacity, and also this aircraft carrier. What do they do now? Do they just stay there? Do you know?
That is a great question. I guess my best inference would be that it would be imprudent to move them, because this is a very volatile area, and it's not quite clear how this diplomatic process will go. Again, there has been many skeptics that this process of turning over chemical weapons international control will actually manifest itself, despite the rhetoric you've heard this morning. So it'll be very, very interesting to see whether or not they are moved, or what kind of way they're used, or if they just sit there to kind of put pressure on the region.
Now, this is your area. There have been reports that the military itself, like starting with General Dempsey, head of the Joint Chiefs, is not real eager, not real excited about this idea of military strike against Syria. Have you picked that up?
The opposition and the wariness, rather, by General Dempsey has been pretty well stated in the letters that he sent back to members of Congress, members of the Senate Armed Services Committee during his confirmation. And it's very interesting. If you watch these last couple of hearings, go back and look at the tape. Look at what General Dempsey says. Not very much. These hearings have been dominated. This has been the John Kerry, Chuck Hagel show. General Dempsey has been largely silent, not really engaging on some of the most controversial exchanges at these hearings on the authorization for use of force.
All right. The president is on the Hill today, meeting with Senate Democrats and then Senate Republicans. What is your beat today? You leave here, you go to the Hill. Where are you going to be hanging out?
Everywhere and then some. I'll certainly be talking to members on the Hill, finding out what they're hearing from the president, what their confidence level is, then heading back to the office to take in the big speech and talk to members after.
Yeah. All right. Got it covered. I'm telling you, go to Politico.com to keep up with all of it. It's a big day for you, Juana Summers. Thanks for starting it out with us.
Thanks for having me.
And by the way, everything changed so fast between yesterday and today. God knows what it'll be tomorrow, right?
Who knows?
Okay. My turn next with a parting shot.
Go mobile with Bill Press. Download podcasts at BillPressShow.com and listen anytime, anywhere. This is The Bill Press Show.
morning, what a difference a day makes. I got to tell you, yesterday we were talking about whether or not Congress would or should authorize a military strike against Syria. Today we're talking about whether Syria would in fact surrender all of its chemical weapons, making a military strike or even a vote in Congress unnecessary. As we've seen, it all started with almost a flip remark by Secretary of State John Kerry that Syria could escape bombing by turning all of its weapons over within a week, which Kerry said they'll never do. Russia heard that and pounced on it. Syria heard that and said they're open to it. And suddenly the whole game plan on Syria changed from how soon can we bomb to how soon can we get rid of those damn weapons. Now look, this is still a long way from a done deal. So many questions. Can we really trust the Russians or Syrians? How fast could we get those weapons out of Syria in the middle of a civil war? But two good things have already happened. One, Syria and Russia have, in effect, admitted that they indeed do have chemical weapons, which they've been denying as recently as yesterday. And two, we might now have a diplomatic solution to this crisis. But it would not have happened without the threat of a U.S. military strike. We will see what the president has to say to the nation tonight. Go out and have a great day. Watch that speech tonight, and then come on back right here, and we'll talk about it tomorrow morning.
This is the Bill Press Show.